If you're here for part 2, make sure you click, I think it's this side, make sure you click for part 1. Watch that one first before coming here. Yeah, I keep saying I'm sorry, I apologize. But so excited. I wanted something different, a kind of little difference between personal finance and business finance, and have somebody on here to be able to provide you some more tips and tricks on that, as well as what do you do during a loss, during a pandemic. So I feel like that was really important. Welcome back to Live Life with Jay. This is part 2 with Charlotte Sahadeo, and she is going to continue talking to us about business finances. So last week we talked about personal finance versus business finance, and now we're going to get into more detail. And we're going to talk more about loss, business loss. So stay here if you're interested. I wanted to bring up the personal finance after business loss, and if you can give us in more detail about that.
Yes, I actually had a couple of postings, and for everybody that wanted to follow me, I'm on Sahadeo Financial under the IG handle. What I had a post about this where I was talking about what we have learned during COVID and how we can set ourselves up for the financial glow up, right? And what I would say, what I have learned is like a lot of businesses have incurred a lot of loss. Some of the brick and mortar ones have had to close because the clients are not coming out. You have to become a little bit more innovative in the way that you're marketing and you actually servicing your client base, right? So when it comes to this pandemic and the situation that we have gone through on a business aspect, what I would say is start looking at what you can cut on your business side, whether that is that you had luxury expenses such as the Wi-Fi at the brick and mortar or the Wi-Fi at any place, and you still want to remain with the brick and mortar, well, you don't need that Wi-Fi there anymore because the clients are not really going in there right now. And whoever is going in there right now, they're going to understand you got to go in, get your stuff and get out, right? So you start cutting off those expenses, because the most important expense that you need to take out now, because I'm a firm believer in family first, right, is your home. And there's going to be a lot of debt that you probably are not paying off because you're trying to keep your business still alive and it's still on life support, right? So I would say start cutting the luxury expenses that you have there. Now is the time to kind of start looking at your price points. What has been going into your price points? And it almost sounds like I'm being selfish in this respect, but you kind of have to up your price points. One of the strategy that I came for my clients is that when you look at your price point, let's say you sell a widget for $40, right? And that $40, you had, like a higher percentage of markup, which you think is going to be profit. Now you're going to have to take at least 5% of that $40 and put it into your rainy day fund for your business and start building up, and that's your contingency plan. So what you think that you was going to be as far as bottom line for profits, now it's going to decrease a little bit, right? But if you are looking at your price point and bringing it up a little bit, you can even include the 5% of what would be the $40, include that in your price point, and that 5% should go to your rainy day. This helps us, it's almost like a back end of what our personal costs and what we build for our rainy day funds, right? Which is very different from savings. That's the other thing I want to convey, is that for your personal aspect, you want to make sure that you're cutting off all your expenses, but that you're paying down your debt. And you're also contributing to your savings and your rainy day fund. Savings does not equate rainy day funds. And a lot of people have thought, oh, well, I have savings. That's not your rainy day fund. Your rainy day fund should cover you for your most basic expenses, mortgage, groceries, utilities, and that's your rainy day funds, right? Your savings should help you CYA in case the heater goes out, in case you need a new battery for your car. That's the sort of thing that people need to differentiate. The same goes with the business, right? So now you have a business, you have gone under, you're actually in debt. You start looking at the expenses, some of the things that we can cut off because you still don't want to give away your brick and mortar, right? That's the last resort if you have a business like that. If you have a service base, like you work from anywhere, you need to start looking at, we need to diversify our marketing, right? Because now you need to reach out and service more than than what you did before. The same things that are happening as far as like the same services that you gave before, when people have more than enough extra cash flow to pay for your services, are now saying, I really do need that service, but I don't have the money for it. We need to make it, us as business persons, we need to be a little bit more giving when it comes to service based. When you have the brick and mortar, you start cutting out the cost. When you have a service base, you start giving more of the services for the price point that you have. Because now for us service based, we need to increase our clients as far as what we offering out here in marketing, social marketing, and we need to level out our expenses, and we need to make sure that we are marketing wisely, and that means a lot of social media, a lot of reels, a lot of lives, a lot of that. For the brick and mortar, then you have to look at it almost like your house. You need to cut out, if you have Wi-Fi, you cut out the Wi-Fi. If you had cable, because people used to come to your restaurant or come to your real estate office and wanted to look at TV, well, people are not doing that anymore. As a matter of fact, you're doing a lot of Zooms. So those are the sort of services that you need to cut out. You also need to cut out a lot of your memberships. If you're, whether it's service-based or brick and mortar, you need to cut out a lot of the memberships that you had before. I know folks that had memberships in like different networking entrepreneurship places, which was great at the time when the money was flowing, the cash flow was right, but not so much now. If you have any magazine subscriptions like Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times and stuff like those, things are expensive. I know the Financial Times, at one point I was paying like $100 a year for a newspaper. That was pink.
Paper.
But I don't want to make it about me. But yeah, those are the different things that you want to cut out. And you also want to start looking, and it almost sounds, again, kind of messed up, but you want to look at if you have anybody that you hired, who can maximize right now for the payroll that you're giving out. If we know that somebody can do accounting and can take care of the front end of the office at that time, or the restaurant, then let's give that person that, give them a little percentage of an increase, but you have to furlough whomever was doing that if you have two separate people. So it becomes daunting, and for folks that really are not looking at it, they think, oh, well, that's easy, I'm gonna cut everything out. What ends up happening, your business start hurting because your credibility start going down, and you're not offering really what people want to see. And you still like, oh, well, I still want to keep the Wi-Fi because I need it for whatever. No, dude, hotspot your cell phone for whatever it is that you need at the office and keep it going, because otherwise you're gonna end up like Wi-Fi nowadays is really expensive, dude. Like, it's like $100 and something, and they try to sell you these business, and then you're like, oh yeah, but you have to buy such and such lines. I'm like, I can't keep paying for all of this. So those are some of the tips I would say. 5% for your rainy day. Look at your expenses and luxury. Really take a look if you're service-based, whether you can give more content for the price that you're offering, and diversify your marketing strategy and fully utilize the social media aspect, because it's free. You don't have to pay Facebook, you don't have to pay Instagram, you don't have to pay Twitter, unless you buy those sponsorship packages, and they're still pretty economical for the folks that they cover.
I got all the points. What I never thought about before was having, we have an emergency fund for our own personal stuff. And I never thought of having an emergency fund for business. Like, well, duh, you're going to need that.
And a lot of people didn't think that. Yeah, I've had clients that said, oh, we're making really good money this quarter, we should hire somebody else. And I'm like, why for? Like, you already have everybody that you need in place to get the same level of work and the same profitability for the next quarter. Why are you using that payroll, which comes with overhead? That should have been a rainy day fund. And I always was looked upon like I was crazy, like I was being frugal. And it's not me being frugal. It's almost, it's always me having almost like this apocalyptic way of thinking. And it's not driven by fear, but it's almost like, if something does happen, ergo pandemic, you have that to keep going, and you don't have to do away with a lot of the essential employees that you may have. So
what would be like included? Like, so an emergency fund for our personal finances would include everything we need to live off of for a month, right? And it would be like for 3 to 6 months. So what would a business rainy day fund look
Well, it will be almost the same way. If you're renting, if it's a brick and mortar you're renting, then you obviously have to make sure that your rent is covered for a quarter. Nowadays, I'm saying more like 6 months out, because you never know. And even though there have been talks of grants and payroll protection plans, you don't know when you'll be able to receive that money. Some folks have been waiting more than a year. Okay, so it would include the rent. If you obviously in brick and mortar, it would include the utilities and then the payroll, right? So that's where I come in with the contingency plan, not only financially, but also strategically around the office. Who will be essential if something, God forbid, was to happen? Is it, obviously the CEO, that office manager that you cannot live without? If you have somebody who's a real estate agent and this is their own company, which are your high-end real estate agents here? Those are the ones that we got to keep. If they're, obviously some of them are paid on commission, but some of them do get a draw from whatever if they haven't sold any houses. So payroll, if you rent, utilities, and then the most basic expenses that the office needs. If there's a membership that you have, it's vital, because if you don't have that license for that month, you can't continue working. Then you have to make sure you include that in your rainy day fund. Things that are not included are things like Wi-Fi's, memberships, also the internet cost to an extent. You may want to look at downgrading, that goes kind of piggyback with the last topic. But for the rainy day fund, always say to yourself, okay, if something was to happen, I'm obviously not having as many folks, so that we're not gonna need that many gigabytes. I'm only gonna set this much for 6 months, and then I'm gonna have to negotiate to that price, right? Don't be at the mercy of what the vendor is telling you that you should be paying. Always have that idea that I can negotiate it. So those are the things for the business that I will have as a rainy day fund. When you're service-based, for those, because I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are service-based, that they work from home or they work from anywhere, I will look at what percentage of the profits that are coming through do you use to pay off your mortgage, right? And I know for the personal, you're making sure that you keep the full mortgage as far as a rainy day fund, right? So for example, if your mortgage is $1,700, rainy day funds for 3 months, you're making sure that you accrue $1,700, right? I always say for businesses, because when you deduct your home office, it's a percentage of your home, right? And that's what you deduct. That should be the percentage of what you're putting in your expense and your P&L when it comes to your business, so that you know that you did use that is an expense, right? So I would accrue for that if you're using your home. I would accrue for the percentage that you use for Wi-Fi, internet, because obviously if you're home-based and you do everything from home, you are utilizing the internet. What that does for the service-based is that now you have an overage of expensive if anything was to happen, because if you're doing things right, you've accrued on the personal end for these expenses that now you're accruing on a business side. And that may not always be realistic, because you're already, like, if you're already setting yourself up to the point that you have one business and then you have a side business, you may think, I'm not really producing that much to accrue for this cost. Accrue what you can't, right? Because always keep it in mind, and don't go back and try to use that money. Oh, it was going to be extra anyway, I can use this money for that, because then you're really shooting yourself in the butt. So whatever you can accrue, but just know that the ideal thing, or what you should be producing in sales, is to get that percentage of what you use of your home for your business as the rainy day fund. Okay. Because we all know, if something like this ever happen again, not only are you paying for the basic, like groceries, rent, utilities, or mortgage and utilities, but there's other expenses that are going to come in. Where are you going to get that money? You can't go to Amscot and get $500 and get charged 500%. No, this is what, if you're doing a side business, this is where it comes from. So that's it's a lot of financial. That's why you need somebody like me to really keep everything
I know. Like I'm sitting here, I'm taking notes, and I'm like, man, I got so many more questions, but then we'll be here all day. Because I was even thinking, like, as for someone who works from home, like, how do you know, like, what percentage you put, in that rainy day fund? And then even at that is like, okay, yeah, I have my personal stuff, an emergency fund, but I work from home, but I still need an emergency fund. Like, it's like, you got me thinking all this brain is.
Yeah. Yeah. What that does is like put like a fire under your butt, right?
Yes.
Where you think, no, it's true, because when you think this is my year, you start saying 2020 sucked,
Bye.
F you 2020. This is 2021. I'm about to do my thing. But it is great. I go with that energy all of the time. But what is your thing? Define your thing, right? Whether it is, define it financially, define it as far as what it means as far as success, define it. Because if you did not define it, when you go back and you start looking through your things, was it really your year? Were you able to produce enough to make sure you have rainy day fund? If something, God forbid, happens and you need extra money, do you have that in your savings? Like that to me is what define when I say this is going to be my year. At the end of 2021, poniendo Dios por delante, putting God first, I will look back and say, man, I did accomplish those goals. I did get 2 more clients. I do have my rainy day fund for my business. Yes, I also have my rainy day fund. I contributed, because don't think Rome was built in a day. I contributed to my rainy day fund on a personal level. So you feel a little bit more confident. It's almost like when you do couponing, which, by the way, I still remember when I did the class with you for couponing.
Oh my God, that was so long ago, right?
Yes, it was. It's almost like when you do couponing, that even though you have some at home, you still want to make sure you got enough, because God forbid zombies are out. You got enough, Chef Boyardee to feed us.
Toilet paper,
Exactly. So the same thing, the same concept, I think, should be with your finances.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. It sounds great. Like I learned something new today.
But this upcoming week, I'm actually doing a giveaway. I got to set everything up where I do like Business Finance 101 in a little ebook. So I will have it available. So for those that want to follow me, it'll be next Tuesday, and all they have to, they'll put their email and boom, they'll get the link to the ebook.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to put that on the screen. I'm going to put where they can find you. I'll put in the description. You can also, if you want to send me that link, I could put in the description as well.
Yeah.
Yep. I want to do that too. Hello. I'm so excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So guys, we got to close out. If not, we'll be here all day. Because, when Charlotte and I talk, we just talk. We could just keep talking. We're just talking all day, like conversational style. But I wanted to say thank you for saying yes to coming on here. And absolutely, I feel like some people need also a change, because I'm talking about personal finance. But what about the people who have businesses, small businesses, working from home? I feel like they kind of need also some tips as well. And I just want to say thank you so much.
You're welcome, babe. Anytime. I'm always available to talk nerdy. I'll talk nerdy to you all day.
Yes, I love it. So one more time, let us know where we can find you.
Okay, so my IG handle is Sahadeo Financial, all one word. Obviously at Sahadeo Financial, and I also have my personal. Either way, just know that my personal is my personal. So it's.
Do you want that on here?
It's a lot of humor. If you get a glimpse of my life. It's at Charlotte_Sahadeo. So I'll make sure that Jay has all of that so that she can put it in the description box, and you guys can follow me. And through my life, I talk about side businesses. I talk about strategy. I also do snippets of like terms that we need to know for our own personal financial literacy. This is the year that we need to stop, going by what vendors tell us and banks tell us, and start really contributing to the conversation, because it is your money at the end of the day. So
our money, and we're gonna tell it where it's going.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yes. I'm a control freak. You are not gonna be spent on that interest rate. We're gonna use you over here.
I think I need a one-on-one with you for some business stuff. So thanks again, Charlotte. I always love talking to you. Guys, follow Charlotte in her Instagram. I will put it below. Thanks again for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Bye. Thank you guys for staying here while I interview Charlotte. She's amazing. If you are interested in working with her, all the details are below. Thank you for if you watched the first part. Thank you if you watched the second part. Guys, if you are enjoying my channel, please subscribe, like the video, and please share. Let's share all these tips and details that we can give to other people for free. Thanks for watching, guys.